and the orange tank, Humble Life Esports on the red. Yone already taken away from Zeka, and to a lesser extent, Zeus. And it's just going to have to be the Vi bans, the Gwen bans, things like that to come through from HLE. I think able to shape things a little more.
We so often see like blue side have so much freedom in bans because you can sort of target stuff specifically. But I think it's just frustrating playing into HLE because, you know, you feel really forced to ban Yone. And then, I mean, you don't want Zeus on Rumble, but is there a pick you want Zeus on?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, there are things that are better than seeing him on that one. As now the Azir going to be taken away as well. One more ban left remaining. It's likely going to be the Gwen.
Yeah, I mean...
Unless Zeus is happy in the Jace matchup, and then you can just leave both of them. Kalista, maybe?
Kalista, possible. Varus, possible. You could even ban, like...
Neferi.
Well, I was thinking Xin Zhao, but they end up banning the Neferi. I feel like you have to take the Jace here, and you have to accept that, you know, you have a fabled matchup into the Gwen, but there's also a chance that if Zeus is able to navigate the matchup, you're playing into a Gwen.
Oh, listen to the fans. Going wild as the Gwen gets instantly snapped up. The double circles. Oh, God.
Oh, this... yeah. Rough to play into.
That's pretty good at Xin Zhao as
The thing is, I don't even think like this is necessarily a fumble from BNK FairX. It just feels bad, but like what else are you supposed to do in this situation? Are you going to not pick Jace?
I think you ban Jace on 3 instead of Azir.
Yeah, but... I mean, I guess.
But, I mean, that's going back in time a little bit.
Looking at Talia right now, and they do end up locking that in. Pretty good against the dashes that those two have, and then...
I mean, Sedge is pretty strong.
Yeah.
I still don't know whether I like it necessarily, as Zeka is looking to take the mid matchup of choice. See what it's going to be. Ryze was considered. Ryze and Xin have been a duo for quite some time.
Yeah, seeing the Ryze definitely rise in priority. I mean, we've seen a lot of champions kind of adopting the Rod of Ages, and he's obviously a prime user of that. But it's set up to go for the Varus. Now they're in a position where they can sort of ban away 80 carries they don't want to play into, having already secured theirs. And the thing is, BNK FairX has the ability to ban mid laners, but I think the pool's just a little bit too wide. There's so many up and available, I don't think you're really going to get that much of an advantage, especially when you have to consider supports as well. You can see an Alistar pick come out on 4. Already you get the Kalista banned away.
Yeah, that's the hard thing, because Delight then gets pick of the litter, right? I feel like now you want to take mid lane champions away from Zeka so that he doesn't get just the Ryze that he was considering. Maybe the Victor as well, but the Sylas is still going to be taken away. And I actually didn't say Sylas because Talia has been a great matchup into Sylas throughout her time, but it's Zeka,
yeah.
so you still have to ban it.
I never trust the hovers, you know, when they end up blocking in a different role. So
yeah.
I think they shouldn't really be in the mindset of, oh, we hovered this is something we want to ban. Ezreal ban comes out from the side of HLE. Obviously, something can play safely at range against the Gwen and the Xin Zhao. You know, we see Ahri picked a lot into Talia, so I think that'd be an okay ban, and they do end up taking that one off the cards. Now, HLE could just pick, they have choices. You can go for the counter pick support, or you can just lock Alistar. Those are, I feel like, the two options right now.
Yeah.
And I think Delight would be pretty comfortable picking the Alistar, but, you know, if they want to play it safe, if they want to give themselves a little bit more space to navigate, they could just pick a mid lane, and they take the Ryze. You know, they know the matchup. And now for BNK FairX, you're in this position where there's certainly strong bot lanes available that you can lean into, but you don't want to play into the counter pick that Delight might have. Delight definitely tends to lean more towards melee supports we've seen, so I think you could just take the Alistar yourself and be happy, especially since it's Kellen.
Yeah. Kai'Sa into Varus doesn't seem like a lot of fun, especially if the Alistar comes alongside it, which is what Kellen's going to lock in here.
Honestly, I feel like you could go for the side of HLE. If you do end up playing a range support, maybe like the Nico or the Elise, it could be a really hard early lane for this Kai'Sa Alistar if you really want to put the pressure down.
Elise sounds really difficult to deal with.
You could also go Braum, which is, I mean, it's not as good in the matchup as maybe other picks are, as it is into other supports, like it is into Leona. But they end up going for the Rakan, so big pick for Delight. Yep. But playing into the Talia, not a position I would personally say you get the prime opportunity from Rakan, especially since there's a lot of hard CC to slow you down.
Yeah, it sounds like a difficult game to play out. Of course, if there's anyone to trust, it's probably Delight. But we saw, like, the Rakan picked in an awkward position for Keria earlier on in the season as well. That didn't go all that well when that gamble was taken. Because in the past, sometimes you'll see the Rakan angle, but the player is so good that the Rakan is able to navigate around, you know, the Talias or the Poppies or whatever's going on that's going to make it difficult. This might be, you know, the case where Delight can just outplay it, but just outplay it isn't necessarily what you want to see. They obviously just wanted to get themselves some good engage options. We'll see whether that is going to be enough to get HLE across the line, but outside of that, they've got the Gwen, they've got the Xin Zhao, two very high priority picks on the patch and their red side. It's a scary one here for B&K fans, but they got the Jace, they got the Talia for Vikla, one of his better champions by a decent margin as well.
I think nameplate's off, you're pretty happy, you have a good top matchup, you know, you have the Talia who can match the mobility of the Ryze and has some good early pressure. Bot matchup a little rough, but Alistair Sejuani is a great front line to have. But nameplate's on off, and I think HLE scary with what they have.
Certainly are. They still have to put their money where their mouth is, though, so let's jump onto the Rift, see whether they can take down B&K FearX here in this game number 1. All right. Sounding a little bit one-sided as far as the fan chant is concerned. Humble Life Esports certainly earning a whole bunch of extra fans after becoming our LCK champions last year and picking up Zeus, who did have just a lot of fans himself. As Kellen,
+5,
tries to defend his ward, but does not.
Good amount of gold there. You know, we talked last series about the early ward gold, just for pinging it. This was the ping and the ward secure, so HLE, they are more than vibing right now.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. 15 gold.
That's another ping.
Zeus, 10 gold for Delight.
Did Peanut even ping it? Don't even think he pinged it. Wow. Crazy. Well, Zeka is now here towards the bottom side. He also gets the follow-up ward as Raptor coming on over. I think was unspotted as he made his way towards red buff, but it's going to be mirrored starts here by our junglers. I don't think it's going to be too surprising. And already the Rune Prison going to be used here by Zeka. Tanks up a bunch of minions there as well, so evens out the trade for himself. Here on the bottom side, I actually think this is really interesting, right? Because they've picked this Kai'Sa Alistar, which isn't all that strong, but if you think about the way HLE has played out their games, the bottom lane has not had a lot of action. You know, a lot of the focus has been Peanut towards the top side of the map. He's already flashed into the Grub Pit, for example.
Wow.
As he's now looking to just steal away a blue buff.
Why are we surprised? This is how it goes.
And I mean, we've seen this, like we saw it last week, right? Pyoshik just flashing over a wall. I'm pretty sure it was Pyoshik that did it. But when Peanut does it, it feels like it's with a little bit more, I guess, success afterwards. I don't know whether this is necessarily going to pay off because, of course, he just gets himself into the enemy jungle unseen. Raptor, you can see, is just going to be moving over to grab his wolf camp, but then he's going to get the unfortunate news that his Gromp and his blue are just gone.
He doesn't know. He's not aware. And by the time he does find out, Peanut can move in position to try and cover his camps. And the thing is, it's hard to sort of recognize that Peanut must have taken a flash over the wall sort of path.
Yeah, Seismic Shove is going to throw Zeka back, though, as now Vikla is looking for a solo kill. He does drink a potion, and he might be all right here, as Clear manages to get the boot back onto Zeus, as now Peanut moving in as well. A 2v2. The B&K look like they do not want to take. Winter's Wrath goes wide, and Peanut, with his health advantage, is going to be able to push away the Sejuani. The Sejuani that wasn't able to take camps. Does manage to get to level 3, so is okay as far as that is concerned. But Peanut feeling kind of okay with how things are going.
In a situation like this, where all your camps are down and Scuttlecrab hasn't spawned yet, you don't have another choice but to look for a gank, really, if you want to make something useful happen with your time. It's either try and invade the enemy jungle and steal a camp, or it's just try and make a gank happen. And he does look for that, but it is spotted and denied, and now...
Oh, it's
Zeus, I think you have to expect this, you know.
He does.
Nothing else Raptor can be doing. Just play defensive. The wave is going to push out eventually. You have TP as well.
He's going to mitigate some of the damage here from Clear.
Yeah, I mean,
like you say, it's just going to help this lane get shoved forward.
You can recall on TP, you can recall and honestly walk back with how the wave is, or you can just, as he is, soak. Either way, doesn't step up, doesn't give a window over the Raptor. And in the meantime, Peanut's just been kind of clearing through camps. Doesn't have a huge advantage now, but once he moves into his blue side jungle and picks up these 3, that's really where he's going to capitalize on the earlier work he did by stealing away those camps.
Yep. Starting on his blue, as you can see, was easily able to take down the Rift Scuttler as Zeka gets into the river. Seismic shove, we didn't really want to watch because Zeka just gets thrown back into a bunch of rocks and then is taken out. That's Diablo getting the kill as well with a Void Seeker, which is a big deal. Now this lane gets even harder for HLE, and that is where they want their money.
Just gotta flash the Seismic shove in that situation. You know, you ended up overextended. Once you know it's gonna hit, you have to flash it. Because, I mean, you made the right call by not flashing afterwards, because then you're still dead anyway. But if a mistake there from Zeka. And again, you know, Raptor doesn't have great uses for his time in these windows. Given an opportunity for him to get a kill, set up his AD carry, you're kind of undoing the work that Peanut has done to set him behind.
Yeah, and Peanut is still going to be able to clear out his blue quadrant, so a 3-buff start for the Xin Zhao, but like you were saying, bit of a bailout for Raptor, as you can see.
Yeah, I mean, didn't have full vision of Vikla, who was in the brush, but like, you can see the ground, you know? That's where it shows up. It's not hidden.
Oh, yummy.
Yummy.
Oh,
I don't think we needed a translation on that one.
Yeah.
Diablo pretty happy about being able to collect that kill. He's behind in this lane, as you would expect. But now, Kai'Sa Alistar being even or ahead just doesn't feel great. If you're any matchup on the other side, because it just doesn't sound like a lot of early game power to be dealing with.
Especially, you know, Diablo's able to reset and get a BF sword in its entirety. Viper opting to go the on-hit build this game, which, you know, there is a big front line on the enemy team, but also it's not the easiest game to play out as an on-hit virus. I mean, Viper is...
Yeah, I feel like Viper is the one that... He does a lot of lethality when you shouldn't necessarily do it, as I don't think that I would argue with him, because right now, all he needed to do was get another cooldown. And, oh, there it is! Speaking of which, but Clear is able to walk out of the way. He's not going to utilize that advantage to try and go for some grubs here, as Kellen's going to make his way in. That's a flash, but nothing else. As he's trampling, but otherwise not really finding anything there as the rocks go down. Seismic shove going to push Peanut towards them. One grub already secured here as the wall is going to go down. And now Zeka going to get interrupted, so he does have to flash. No realm warp for you. So first grub does go over to HLE as wind becomes lightning and the grub becomes back in its house.
Well, you gotta be careful. Oh, and Kellen doesn't connect again.
Kellen's doing some weird stuff this game. However, guess grub advantage over to B&K.
I mean, they held strong, and I think they should have. They were moving the AD carry up in this situation, so Diablo was nearly there. In the meantime, Zeus is getting some free farm in the bot lane. And I think not the end of the world for HLE, who did manage to deny that, so it's not full 3 grubs, and I think they appreciate the extra farm going towards Dagwen.
Yeah. That was a very strange sort of amount of things that just happened. Zeus is, like you say, just holding the wave, having a good time, trying to limit the amount of experience and gold that Clear can pick up when he returns to this lane. It looks like Raptor is going to invest in a potential gank opportunity to try and at least alleviate some of the laning issues that are down here. There's snip, snip.
I just don't think there's a window, really, where the wave is right now. Thing is, you'd want to be able to crash the wave so it can bounce back, but Gideon doesn't want to end up showing his face.
And Viper up here, pretty safely, going to be able to take down this wave. The light turns up, and that ward that we're sort of zoomed in on is giving HLE a little bit of a feeling of safety. We know that Kellen and Diablo are not actually in vision.
Absolutely, for some more 2v2 kills.
No flash, no ghost on Viper. That's why they're here.
Yeah.
When does he charge up the Hex Splash?
I think maybe when he goes to the next wave.
Yeah.
Kind of very safe. I mean, he is playing extremely safe.
Oh, Delight. He gets the information. Okay, and yeah. So they waited there for a long time, and they didn't die. They didn't die. They didn't get a kill, nor really do anything of note at all. But they didn't die.
Yeah, but just credit to Viper and Delight for being suspicious in that situation, not opting in. You know, have Peanut covering so they can get a crash if they really want to. And ultimately, the 3v3 I would not opt into if I was HLE in this situation. Peanut, pretty strong right now. And also just the Varus level 6 is such a huge spike. Oh, Kellen does have level 6 himself though.
Yeah, Unbreakable Will. Going to be powerful here. As Raptor will be able to take his blue buff. Clear starting to struggle is what it looks like in this lane because, like we said before, Zeus was left alone. So now he has a slight level advantage and CS advantage, as we can see, to the tune of about 20.
Yeah.
And some steel caps, which makes him feel much better in this matchup.
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder for Clear to get that pressure. And I think that's the thing against the Gwen. You constantly have to be pushing her down and causing issues. But with a CS lead now, putting Clear on the back foot.
Yeah, nicely played. Still, things are pretty calm on Summoner's Rift. As we see Zeus pick up this wave. We'll be able to shove that one out. Was wanting to stop Clear's back and doesn't manage to do so. He's going to teleport back in, does have his cow on the way. And Diablo staying up towards this top side. Will be able to at least get that wave shoved in and continues to have a decent CS advantage in his own right. The only gold lead for BNK, largely based off the fact that he did pick up the first blood. And outside of that, we haven't really had too much extra action. As Kellen getting some vision down, spotting Peanut on this blue buff. It's a little bit scary here, as even Zeka actually in position. It's, yeah, sneaky upon sneaky.
Control wood, a lot of value, giving some information, allowing Peanut to back away and play it safe. You can see both teams, like, they're looking for these windows, but you compare it to the previous series where it's kind of just throw everything in the kitchen sink of the enemy team and hope for the best. This feels a lot more like, okay, prodding and poking, seeing if we can find an advantage, but it doesn't necessarily show up. After now, going to start up this Dragon. Grubs are available if HLE want to trade.
They might want to do that. They do have a decent amount of control here towards the top side. The Gwen versus Kai'Sa is feeling like it's pretty good for the Gwen. As Peanut, as we say it, pops over the wall and is going to be able to take down the Grubs.
Yes, simple exchange.
Yep. That was only the first streak as well, so not exactly the earliest one. Snip, snip, goes Zeus. As Diablo just walks into the mist. It does get moved. Kellen being frustrating here.
Oh, TP coming in. They're looking for this.
All right. Seeing whether they can collect at least one of these Grubs. On a ward is Raptor. That is 2 Grubs picked up by Peanut, though. As now the Talia comes in, but HLE able to regroup. BNK, I don't think they're going to be able to get one of these. Kellen's going to move over. Raptor can actually get into position. Chains of Corruption comes down. Great flash from Delight as he does manage to get the quickness off. That is the secure as the Glacial Prison goes completely wide, and BNK now just want to get out of there. Zeka on a flank angle is pretty scary. And BNK are going to lose their piggy because of it. And Clear, he didn't have teleport. And that's why he's not going to be able to join the rest of his team. HLE able to take the fight.
Honestly, I think it's pretty fine for BNK FuryX. The fact they got the grub, the fact they're getting this side lane pressure. You know, we talked about the Jace being behind in terms of farm. He's catching up, he's getting plates. I think one death in return for that, you're fine with this exchange.
Yeah, especially with the plates going down. You might be right. And it's 3 apiece as far as Grubs are concerned. So Diablo moves back, catches the wave up here towards the top side. And let's have a look at this fight one more time.
So, ends up a bit of a scrappy one. The ult from Viper's thrown onto Kellen, who just immediately ults in return. We see Delight get some decent CC value, but Raptor makes his way in. The ult's a bit of a whiff, but then Zeka comes with this great flank angle. It's looking really rough. You get the big value from the Gwen ult, but Zeka's not that bulky right now to just stand in the midst of 4 people for that long, so they just disengage.
Yeah, and they didn't have vision in the brush either. BNK were able to get keep control of that topside river brush, and so no one wanted to face check. Did feel like if there was like full vision on both sides, that maybe HLE would begin to be able to push any further.
Yeah.
But instead, not going to do so. As Clear just continuing to farm things out, still behind by just a little bit, but has his Ghost Blade now, and is going to be matched by Zeka on the rise instead of the Gwen anymore. Not quite with Rod of Ages completed just yet.
I mean, that's the thing with both these compositions. I think, you know, we have mid laners who are pretty comfortable in the side lanes, regardless of who they're matching up into. I think some compositions, you have like a mid laner who you just kind of feel uncomfortable about where they are in these top matchups, but I think as a result, it's going to be hard. You know, we saw in the last game the side lane pressure being a consistent thing that D+ kind of fell prey to. I don't see this being as much of a problem. Now, Raptor's looking top, but I don't think you're going to find much here.
No. Zeus is, as it turns out, immune.
Yeah.
And now looking for a little bit of a reset. We'll be wandering back to that lane as Control Ward goes down for Peanut. Spots out the cow. Not too much more going to happen. So Vikla just clears out another wave. Zeus actually cancels the back, so he's going to be able to pick up that wave there as well. As you can see, Plate's going to fall down.
You can see that. Look, Jace got so much plate gold. You know,
yeah.
Big reason why he's a lot closer in the matchup than he was previously. Like, bear in mind, Zeus also picked up a kill. There's only 200 gold up.
Kind of nuts as well. The Clear has a level advantage over Zeka, even though Zeka has more minions that he's been able to take down. Just spending a little bit more time in the lane is Clear. So they're able to get to that level 11. Some defensive positioning here from HLE as Delight on the spot, but that ward has been shut down. Now Zeus just looking to deal with the minion wave. Delight with the quickness, trying to charm them all up underneath this turret as the teleport comes in. Zeus trying to keep himself alive and does so for a long time. Eventually does go down, but now HLE, can you find anyone? As Diablo's in trouble. And, ooh, not quite enough with that spell flux from Zeka. And so Diablo's able to get himself out. Not a lot of summoner spells left, but that is a big win because that's first turret blood going over to BNK at the same time. They're continuing to just slightly trade up on the map.
The fact that just barely the AD carry managed to get out, it was a 1-for-0 trade. Zeus does a pretty good job of mitigating the ult that came out from Sejuani here. Tries to get max value with his ultimate, but I mean, Kellen tank the tower just makes it so hard to do anything. Tower goes down, he goes down, and then here, Diablo, good cleanse value. Yeah, so close to going down. I think maybe should have flashed a little bit earlier before Zeka got another spell in, but fortunately still survived that one.
Yeah, that was living life right on the edge.
Peanut was doing camps on the other side of the map, so definitely not a play that HLE were fully prepared for, even though they did react. Oh, Realm Wolf coming in.
Yeah, this is another plate, as now Clear is going to get engaged on. Rune Prison goes down. Raptor in a great spot, though. He's able to come up and defend, so Clear will be all right. Didn't have flash, but didn't need to use it. There's now Viper versus Diablo here in this mid lane. Viper free to get a bit of extra damage as this wave does crash on through. And Peanut gets the inside track. Kellen now, it's his turn to rotate over. Zeka and Delight still here towards the top side, but nothing they can do about this turret. As BNK continue to make the right moves around the map. Is this just going to be the day of upsets? As BNK looking real good. I say that, and maybe I need to hold that thought until post-mid-game.
You do need to see a little bit more, you know, especially we saw, even in Series 1, which Nongshim did find the upset, took a while.
Oh, really nice moves there from Clear. I don't know whether it's going to be enough, and in fact it's not. But the sidestep with the Ghost Blade movement speed, kind of cute. As BNK going to be trading it for the second dragon of the game, moving closer and closer to a soul point angle, as his Chemtech is going to go down. Next will be an Ocean, a little bit unfortunately.
Not what you'd be hoping for in this situation. The weakest soul left available, but, you know, it's not useless. You do have some tankier members who can get value from it. Definitely won't miss it if you are able to pick it up. But I just think it's... BNK Fearax are in a good position, but I'm still worried.
Yeah, me too.
Zeus on Gwen, scary prospect.
I think the only thing that's sort of keeping me in it as far as like this Gwen is not going to be as much of a problem is that we just saw it lose. So it can lose.
I mean, it can.
Just doesn't often.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's banned quite a bit. As HLE, we can have a look at this one more time. Look at the sidestep from Clear, it's kind of cute.
Yeah, pretty good, but unfortunately the quickness gives you a lot less outplay potential when he just presses R and runs through you. So
I like the credit where credit's due type situation, but ultimately does nothing at all.
Yeah. I think Clear is maybe dead. Nope, Raptor's here to cover him, but it still could be. Yeah,
this is going to throw out some needles towards him. Great Hammer going to move him back, but there is the knock-up. Peanut setting up that Q very, very nicely, and Clear doesn't have a turret to run back to. As now Zeus wants to try and keep Raptor and Kellen away as Peanut and Delight get the work done. As the teleport does come in, oh no, Kellen, I think he might be just cooked. That's a triple knock-up with the Pulverize, and then he just gets turned into mincemeat. Down he goes, chopped up by the Gwen.
The only consolation prize is there's no Atakan up right now for HLE to move over to, but some big kills coming through. And this Gwen's starting to get scarier and scarier.
Oh, Diablo will take a turret shot.
Just have cleanse, probably gonna have to use it here.
Yeah, the Ghost has been popped here by Viper as they see that Diablo has gone north.
Oh, he is.
And now he's likely to be just dead. Chance of Corruption will get cleansed, and then his life will also get cleansed.
You know, sometimes you can just not click your buttons. Yeah. I think there's no scenario in which Diablo gets out there. Now you're cleanseless against this Rakan, Varus, Ryze for the next team fight, so not in favor of that move, but
yeah, giving a kill over to Zeus as well instead of just dying to the people in front of you is another one. But sometimes you just have to make a decision in the moment, and he didn't use his flash, so there is at least that.
Yep. Just have that one safe.
Okay, 2.5 minutes on the Dragon. That'll be soul point available for BNK if they can actually get into a position to fight for it. Right now, the gold is nothing really to speak of, about 1.5k. As we're going to check this one out once again, as Clear played this one about as well as he could.
I mean, I think this is a different story if you have a turret up, but you know, Delight even uses the W to gap close for his E, but with no turret, you just get run down. There's really not much you can do.
Yeah, and watching the Glacial Prison just get eaten by the mist from Zeus just really makes you think Gwen is difficult to deal with for someone with ranged CC.
Now it's just a solidarity death, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, Kellen has had a bit of an off day thus far from some of the decisions that have been made. Some of them have been great. You know, that bottom lane dive, that was fantastically played. The early team fight was a bit of a whoopsie. So looking to see the Cow get his head back in the game.
I mean, it's a really high-value game for Alistar. We had a lot of these recently, but, you know, the Gwen and the Xin Zhao, you can headbutt away. If Ryze or Varus are in range to hit someone, you're in range to combo them. And that's kind of a consistent thing, so I think a lot of value for the Alistar. It's clear why they prioritized it, and obviously Kellen very good in the pick, but I agree with what you said. He has been not in his usual form.
No. Sort of been a return to a past form that we'd prefer not to talk about, so we won't. Sorry for even mentioning it. As Viper here in the mid lane does have a couple of items on the way. See what's going to be completed next. Looks like it is just going to be Ginsu. As Vikla throwing these minions around. And this guy's Talia has been good so far today. You can see just a couple assists to speak of, but has been able to stay ahead as far as farm is concerned, or as far as gold is concerned at least. Zeka now moving over towards this top side, going to be answering Clear. Speaking of that Rage Blade, that is now completed here for Viper, so 2 items done for the Varus. Pretty good power spike here for Viper at this point in time.
Yeah, especially as we've seen the crit Kai'Sa, which, you know, we saw a lot of it, and then we've seen kind of people going back to the original Kai'Sa build, like the hybrid Kai'Sa build, but...
Was it Diablo that also went for the crazy full AP kind of build?
I can't honestly remember. But regardless, you know, with the crit Kai'Sa, especially compared to a Varus, like this 2-item spike for Varus feels so good. Diablo doesn't even have 2 items, but even if he did, you're not feeling like really on point at that moment, so... BNK FearX, down in gold, up in Dragons, trying to look for this.
Yeah, there's the knock-up. And another one onto Raptor. Zeus has the time bought for him and does make his way through. Raptor will have to back away. Chains of Corruption goes wide as now Zeka is fighting against Diablo on the back end of the fight. Nice. Now Raptor wanting to regroup with the rest of his team, but there's an angle here for BNK to go for something perhaps. As Zeka finds himself on the wrong side of the wall and will have to flash over. Still, the Drake is going to be denied. HLE will lock down their first of the game. Probably the best of a bad situation here for BNK, though. Being able to get the flash out of Zeka is certainly something.
Yeah, I think the wall to punish Zeka was a good move, given how the fight had gone. But ultimately, this was a fight where HLE had kind of gotten their advantages. You know, poking and prodding down, forcing things like the Alistar ult without fully committing. It's just very difficult for BNK FearX to react to. And more gold for the Gwen on the back of that turret. I think they should also be able to get this mid-tier 1. Never mind. Yeah. Dangerous game to play. But it is low. Is potentially an easy target later on. Now, Arakan on the top side, no Dragon for 4.5 minutes. That's going to be where the focus. We'll get a replay of this fight. And not doing that much threat to the Johnny right now. But then when Gwen comes in, immediately such a problem. Like, the front line just gets shredded.
And the use of the mist as well just makes it so difficult to deal with him. Still, the threat of Kellen with his ult running is enough to push them away. So unable to get any kills or HLE, but still able to get advantages, which is the biggest problem. Quickness held onto here as we come back to live as Diablo was dealing with HLE. Does have now his cleanse on cooldown. Viper obviously trading his ult for that. And HLE are going to be happy about that one because BNK were looking like they had a whole bunch of summoner spells at the ready. And so now with that cleanse on cooldown, at least they got something.
That account's calling to them.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's calling to them, Atlas.
It's not again. Not again. Not in this series.
Take me. Stop the Adakan.
Look, they're not.
They did.
Apparently,
they were forced away.
You can choose not to.
Really? It's just on hiatus, you know.
Uh-huh.
Vikler's resisting the urge right now.
Oh, I could have sworn.
He tried to cue the other direction. He's like, no.
Yeah.
I won't do it.
I refuse. That's all right. We got pings on the top side of the map. Zek are going to be moving up there to try and get this one shoved forward again. And I'm getting nervous one more time. Vikler going to get spotted on this wave, but it is just going to be eradicated. The Latin Peanut move over.
It's queuing up. It's going to happen soon.
Diablo actually going in. Delight's going out though, so we're not going to see any more aggression. Kellen getting softened up a little bit, but the piercing arrows don't hurt as much with this version of... Okay, never mind. Diablo immediately having to hold as the seismic shove onto Peanut. The Crescent Guard not quite working out there as he is taken down. The quickness doing some work as Diablo just getting cut up by this Gwen, and he will get shut down. Now Zeka fighting against a couple as Vikler and Kellen trying to keep him at bay, but it's Peanut and Viper on the floor, and the Weaver's Wall should be able to lock down Delight as well. BNK finding the team fight despite Diablo going down.
Yeah, managing to get on top of Viper, who, even despite having the flash, ends up going down. So we saw Zeus get a lot of value in the fight, but his team kind of fell apart. Zeka did just get the level up for the Rod of Ages. A lot of low health bars, but still not willing to take this encounter.
Oh, nicely
one
done.
goes down. BK4X able to pick that up, but still showing some fight. So for me, I was kind of focused on the bot side of the fight, where obviously this happened at the start, Peter gets pressured on, and I was looking at Zeus. I really want to see what happened on the other end of the fight. And I think it's as simple as a little pulverized combo onto Viper. And he just tries to...
tries to flash behind Vikler, but doesn't quite manage to do so.
An aggressive approach, I think. Maybe...
The sideways option also does work.
And also, you see like the CC chain that comes out onto Delight, kind of bounce house a bit, doesn't get to play the game. Wasn't even the Unraveled Earth. Like, normally I'm thinking, okay, you play him to clear, the Unraveled Earth is going to be the problem, but he just didn't get to play. Oh, the call is coming.
Sometimes it's time to start the Otacon. And it's not now, but it is.
Why not?
Because that's what they're going to do. Well,
so quickly, give me answers. Why not? I need to tell them.
Yeah. Raptor is going to get zoned a little bit here by Zeka, though, so that is just the Voracious Otacon taken. Clean. No worries. It was the right play.
We didn't say why not, and HLE, they got it done, so...
Oh, BNK were like, well, maybe we'll take an inner turret as our response.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. With it being Voracious Otacon, it's not so much about the Otacon itself, as it's what you can get with the buff. So far, a minion wave.
Ooh, Hex Splash. Going to get Kellen amongst it. Zeus in a bit of trouble, or is Diablo? And the answer is Diablo. Never mind, it's a beautiful seismic shove angle, and it doesn't matter at all because Gwen exists, ladies and gentlemen. The needlework is gorgeous. Raptor trying to get out of there, and he will be able to make his way out, but Diablo's now on the floor. And Kellen, he's a cow out of the pasture as he's spotted, but I don't think anyone's going to answer it.
I think it's a dragon angle. Diablo's going to be down for 15 seconds while the dragon's up because it's the resets. It was an 80 carry trade. But the value Vikler is getting on this Talia, so this seismic shove that comes out ends up buying so much time. And despite the fact we still see Diablo coming down, Zeus has to flash for it. And then the Unraveled Earth value as well.
Yeah, this Talia is massive.
Double stuns down to Zeus and Peanut. They're having such a rough time playing into
this pick. There we go.
Wait, they just realm warped to Baron.
Yep, that's what we're doing. We're just doing the Baron. Look at how quickly it's going down. This is absolutely ridiculous. Down to 6K already. Raptor trying to get in there, but the grand entrance has to be avoided. Zeka holds him in place, and there it goes. Headbutt pulverized there from Kellen. Let's see whether they can find something. Another double seismic shove and another one that means nothing.
Just great use of the Realm Orb coming out from HLE right now. Dragon's being approached by BNK4X, and they likely going to take that as a consolation prize. But we talked about, what are you getting from the Voracious Otacon? I think HLE can be pretty happy with what they managed to get there. Man, just great reading the situation. The Dragon would have been, I'm going to be honest, basically meaningless.
Yep.
A long way away from Soul still. If HLE would get it, it'd be mostly a denial from BNK4X. The Baron take, very significant now, pushing down mid. That tower was already low.
Yeah, this one's going to go no matter what they do.
It's, goodbye.
So So thankfully, B&K aren't going to invest too much in trying to defend that one, but can they keep their inner turret alive is the question, because with this Baron and the Voracious Otacon buff, HLE are so incredibly comfortable. Zeus in between turrets right now. Does go golden as they take down the turret. That's going to be their priority, is now Viper getting engaged on by Diablo. He supercharges into the backline. The knock up a little bit too late, but still, he goes down. Zeka finding a lot of damage, but Kellen not hit by the last Q and will keep himself alive. A lot of withdrawals now coming in for HLE. Otacon withdrawals, man. It's rough. It gives you the shakes.
You know, the timing, I believe there was a point where the recall, so Zeus goes in very aggressively. He's like, I got Otacon. I want to make this work. I want to die. We'll get recalled. And so Zeus, as you can see, does end up getting recalled. But then Zeka doesn't get the memo. And he flashes away. And then he continues to fight. And then look, do you see something? That wasn't a recall.
Oh.
He was a few seconds late. So he just died. And Viper had already died. So both of those two just straight died.
All right. So they didn't even get withdrawals. They just got dead.
Zeus understood the assignment. And look, we've been critical of this just dive tower and die. But at least Zeus got that. And Zeka's like, you know, I don't really, like, he flashed out. He flashed out in that situation and then just ended up normally dying, which is not ideal. Also burnt the Seeker's Arm Guard. I just, not really worth. And this game kind of feels like Vikla is doing so much work. You know, B&K Fearx really trying. But Zeus, Gwen is the big issue.
Yeah. And he's got, like, it's a Zhonya's, so he didn't even break his arm guard in that last fight because he has the Zhonya's already completed.
He's very scary.
He is.
The turrets as well. Oh my lord.
Yes, that turret is no longer alive because there's a lot of AP.
Yeah, I blinked and
my goodness.
Didn't see anything.
Everyone's got one kill except for Zeus with 6. And
yeah.
Consolidating money on one carry is always a good thing, but it's even better when it's Zeus.
I think not just that, but also like a Gwen. You know, you could have 6 kills on Viper and he could just get blown up at the start of the fight. But realistically, you're not blowing up this Gwen with Zhonya's and a lot of bulkiness and immune and level 17.
Zeka not punished. Manages to complete the Zhonya's before any other engagement does happen.
This is the big spikes though. I think if we look across the items, Zeus is the only one who's short of the Rabadons by a little bit. But we got like 3 items on the Jace, 3 items for the Rabadons on Vic.
Yeah, Peanut has to use the ulti to get rid of Raptor.
Okay, well, ulti down, but nothing really to play for right now. You guys, you don't have to fight. I'm just going to lay it out there.
But it's like, okay if you
look at the top right of the screen, 2 minutes on Dragon, top left, 2.5 on Baron.
But like, what if we fought now just to like get our eye in?
Yes.
Maybe that's the plan.
Maybe burn some summoner spells.
Yeah.
Oh, blue buff? Blue buff. I would die for a blue buff.
Well, Zeka and Peanut, they're going to kill a blue buff for a blue buff.
But they wanted to die for it, and they didn't even have to, so.
Yeah. Wow, imagine that.
They wanted to make a noble sacrifice, and they were just denied it.
Get down! That was the sound of that one in Hearthstone, right? No, never mind. Okay.
No, enough of the Hearthstone. Oh,
There's.
Would you die for a Gromp?
Well, Dundun did state the top lane is dying for Gromp is a rite of passage, and Zeus didn't get the memo. He is going to survive.
Yeah, decides to not just die for a jungle camp that doesn't even give a buff, so, you know. Perhaps the correct decision, but
I would say not.
Not the
Gromp is worth a lot.
Yeah.
As Vikla is just going to clear out this wave. Man, Vikla really has been a success story. Him and Kellen on B&K have definitely been playing a whole lot better than a lot of us expected. Kellen in this game having a little bit more of a rough time, finds that headbutt pole. They're still engaging onto a Rakan though, who has a lot of ability to get out of the way of stuff as the wall comes through from Vikla and doesn't.
Didn't find much there. I will say, Kellen, you know, when you think of champions who are good at applying grievous wounds, Zeke's Convergence Alistair, with the Oblivion Orb, you know, the AoE Frost Storm applies the...
Do you know what? I like that though, because it means he's optimistic. Because if you get a 5-man Polv, they are getting limited healing, my friend.
Yeah.
Okay?
I perhaps think maybe Vikla with the Leandries would have been a better applier, but I guess the problem is he has to buy Rabadons and other items.
Yeah.
But you know what, Kellen,
stuff.
You saw something your team wasn't doing and you said, that's my job.
Yep.
I will make it happen. Now,
that's called compromise.
This is Ocean Soul. Realm Orb coming in.
All right.
Oh!
Zeka just gets out of there as now this could be a little bit of an awkward spot. Viper in the pit is a scary one as Peanut just going in. Seismic Shove is decent and Vikla creates some space here as now the charm comes through. Zeka goes golden there as well, and it's Viper starting to pop off in the fight. He's down to 50% health, but I don't know whether he's under any threat. And now Zeka finding damage onto Diablo. The Root Prison is out, and down he goes. Oh, never mind. That was actually just the Dragon. Diablo goes in, but he gets knocked up and destroyed. HLE, they leave the cow alive. And
that's game.
BNK cannot win the game.
They could just, surely they had the damage to end, but I'm just flabbergasted by the decision of Viper to take the Realm Warp into the middle of the enemy team. And then I think it just stunned BNK Fearx. You just weren't ready to punish him, because why would you anticipate that? Why would you anticipate the enemy AD carry teleporting right into the middle of your team?
Yeah, there must be a reason. And as it turned out, there wasn't really one. As now Kellen gets grievous wounds onto HLE, and HLE responds by destroying his Nexus. It was definitely a lot closer than a lot of us would have expected, but HLE still gonna come out on top in the end. And it's the Realm Warps, man. It's the Super Soldier.
Yeah.
Getting them all around the map, and even though he sort of dies in the mid lane and it looked like, you know, the laning phase wasn't necessarily going his way, the big calls with these Realm Warps just ended up winning them the game.
I mean, Zeus and the Gwen, it's just such a problem. The Realm Warp plays really advantageous. They had a big lead there, but I just... craziness of... You know, I saw the Realm Warp coming through, and I'm like, I get it. You want to get Peanut into the pit so you can contest. Maybe Zeus too would be in a good spot. And then I saw Viper there, and I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
And it whipped. They pulled up. They just vibes.
I guess maybe that's it. Maybe they're like, oh no, but it must be Nico. But then they realize Nico's not actually in the game at all, and so it can't be. But it was very confusing. I'm really looking forward to the replay of that last team fight.
Yes.
As Vikla, yeah, a little bit robbed this game, did a lot of damage, actually had a great game, all things considered. Ultimately, it does not actually matter, as it's that big red bar at the top of your screen there. Zeus doing a bunch of work on this Gwen.
Yeah, he was such a problem to deal with, you know, especially as like the Talia could cause issues for him, but it's hard to really cut through him when he's got the immunity.
Yeah. Man, I really hope the space breaks down that last team fight.
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to know how they didn't manage to respond to Viper just being in amongst the entire enemy team. It's time for us to muse on that one as we take a short break, the space thing, and break it all down, and we'll have game number 2. See you soon.
땀 열리면 됐어. 일단 체크해볼게, 체크해볼게.
나 탈게 그냥?
들어갈게, 나.
나 들어갔어.
알았어. 카이사 볼 수 있나? 이거? 카이사 볼게, 카이사. 살려.
탈리야?
살려 노플. 또 넘어가 볼래? 안라인.
앞라인 볼래?
나 제이스 볼 수 있고, 카이사 노플.
빨리지 마봐.
제이스 노플. 카이사 노플, 탈리아도 노플.
나 더는 못 봐.
천천히.
아니, 3 빠져.
천천히.
야, 카이사 노플.
탈리아 노플.
카이사 노플. 나이스. 미드.
탑으로 갈게, 탑으로.
One as BNK Fearx remain on the blue side and will keep Yone on the ban list. Now, not having to worry about some of the things that cropped up namely the Gwen. And we'll see what Fearless is going to bring us, because I don't think the bans are going to change. Vi, Poppy, and Neferi would be the bans on the side of HLE, and Yone, Rumble, and Azir would be the bans on the other side. And it does look like we're trending in that direction.
I think you could leave the Azir open and just try and first pick it, or force HLE to ban it in this situation. I think that's an option they can go for. We'll see. Because I feel like a lot of the drafts recently have been like, okay, you leave open like two of the broken top laners, and then you slowly start to reveal more and more if you're the team on blue side. But in this situation, I think that mid laner is the one I'd be looking at. And yep. So Rumble and Best have banned. Big 4 top laner's gone. The Azir ban comes through.
Okay.
That means Poppy is the pick that was banned last time that isn't banned now. But are you going to first pick Poppy? Oh, if you first pick Kalista and Poppy's open.
I mean, you don't have to worry about Talia.
This is Ashe Poppy.
Yeah, that feels...
It's also Peanut, who's very happy with the Poppy.
Renata Poppy. You could just lock in Renata Poppy if you want to be really anti-fun. But instead,
Renata,
it's Ashe
it has
Renata.
to be close to Nico then.
Yeah, and you can actually lock, like, Raptor can just lock away the Poppy now for himself, and then you lock in the Nico, and then you're feeling very good
Then you have the
about
engage as well. The Nico provides that engage, so...
I kind of like it here for BNK. I feel like they dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Okay. Will the Poppy be locked in? That's the kind of question here. Unless Vikla wants to really lock in something that he's happy to play, or they just want to get the Jax for clear. And so now, if Zeus wants a good matchup into the Jax, then they have to lock that in. Wait, isn't Poppy a decent matchup into the Jax?
Is Poppy just the answer to all of life's questions?
Yeah, I feel like that might be just the case.
Yeah.
Well, Poppy is going to be locked in.
Get the Poppy. Interesting, it got to the... I don't know.
Yeah, like, why is that a Jax?
But also, you could have taken Renata Poppy and then taken Ashe on 3.
Yeah.
You could have done that. So...
Or just not taken Ashe. I mean, Ashe is great into Kalista, don't get me wrong, but you could have taken a high priority mid lane if you would really like to. I think you still have flexibility there.
I think so too. So I think the ordering was a bit weird, but I think HLE pretty happy, and BNK had ample opportunity to not play into Poppy and didn't. Yeah. And also, I don't know if you know this, but Poppy also pretty good in the Jax. I'm sure I heard that like 2 seconds ago, but I'm claiming it's my original idea.
All right. Did you have that? That might be why I thought about it afterwards.
Are you stealing my ideas?
Yeah, like from inside your brain.
Yeah,
like I'm just taking them out. But I mean, you know, you still got to say that you had the idea, and I credited you for the idea that you had. So
I appreciate you crediting me for my idea that you said first.
Yeah. So I'm sorry about stealing it from your brain.
The
Lily going to be taken away, as well as the Nocturne, as we're focusing the jungle picks. So not expecting Nico jungle here. I guess what we're going with is Nah taken away from Zeus makes a bit of sense. One last top lane ban might be coming through.
Maybe like Aatrox, just because it's Zeus, you know?
Yeah, or maybe like a mid lane, like something that they don't want Zeka playing.
Honestly,
instead,
the Nidalee ban, I respect it a lot. You don't want to play into that. It's pretty annoying.
Would it have been a choice into the Jax? Have we seen that? I feel like we may have actually seen the Nidalee.
No, I think we've seen Nidalee Scion and Nidalee Yorick, if I remember correctly.
Might have been.
Jax can at least, like, it's not going to be a fun time at all, but into range matchups, there are some windows with the ranged champion.
Oh my god.
You can jump on them. Kennen coming out, which we have not seen for a while. But
and it's Zeus on the Kennen?
Yeah.
That's very, very fun. He is the Lord of Thunder for a reason. So Kenny going to be picked up. What is the response?
They didn't opt for a mid lane. I mean, I guess they already had they already know what the top lane matchup is, but I feel like for mid lane, it's less about the counter matchup and more just like I want priority on one of the broken mid laners available.
Vikla playing Victor feels right.
It's a bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah.
And
I
now
did get twisted.
Jungle. I mean, Sejuani is banned. Zhao's gone. A lot of jungles are banned. Skana's open, but do you feel good about it? Not really.
Still going to lock it in there for Raptor.
Yeah.
Skana really hasn't had a very good time in recent games. As, yeah, the smorgasbord of champions that Zeka could play here. It is going to be the Sylas picked up, and so now he's got Fate's Call to get Peanut out of dodge. He's got Pop Blossom, which is one of the best. Chaos Storm, which is fine, and the Impale that we saw in the last series. Yes?
If he Fate's Call and he attaches it to Peanut, unforgivable. There's only one person When I look at that team, there's
Oh,
one
right.
person.
Okay, yeah. So now you don't even need Zhonya's on cannon.
You just launch him in.
Oh my god.
It has to be.
So right.
If he
That's
binds to anyone but Zeus,
so unfair.
unforgivable.
I didn't even realize. I thought the other Yordle got in the way of my vision, and it's normally the jungler that you pair it up with.
It normally is, but I think.
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
I think that's the one that makes sense. The Pop Blossom as well. We've seen some devious stuff done with the stolen Pop Blossom. So, yeah, I mean, it's Zeka Silas. I also think that it makes sense in the context that you're leaving a ranged melee champion until the end just to make sure the matchup is one you're okay with. Although, to be honest, I'm not sure there's anything that would have really been picked by Vikla that would have put Zeka off.
Yeah, I don't think the mid lane matchup was something that HLE were too worried about in this case. As the Zeka Zeus combo, I love that. Doing the little dance. What would they actually make if they did like the Go Tanks thing?
Chovy.
Oh, it's actually kind of perfect. And I was actually just having a look. If Zeka wins POM, he has 300 points as well as Zeus, and then together they would equal Chovy.
There you go.
So it's actually just confirmed. Let's get onto the riff for game number 2.
소환사의 택배가 오신 것을 환영합니다.
The ZZ Fusion Dance. Just very cool. Anyway, let's have a look at how this one is going to go. Already a bit of a defensive start towards the bottom side of the map for B&K FearX. And HLE actually having a little bit of an inspection as to what's going on down here. Vision already set up by both of our bottom lanes.
I'm happy to see the bot lane matchup. I feel like, obviously Ashe generally has the advantage of Kalista, but when you introduce the Nico into the Renata matchup, it's like there's a lot more skill expression because both sides can find an advantage.
Yeah. I do feel like Ashe is just going to have a little bit of a better time earlier on. And Viper has just been very good on these champions that do have a lot of... oh, not quite able to get there. A lot of utility.
Wait a minute.
What's that?
Why does Clear have 3 gold?
Oh, he went fishing.
Oh.
That's what you got to do.
That's so broken.
Oh, dude, it's based. That's what you got to do. The Jax always spends the first minute and a half of the game just fishing. And then he spends the rest of the game having a horrible time. The matchup into the cannon has never really been a fantastic time. Electrocute as well has been taken here by Zeus. I was wondering what he was going to do because he could have gone for the full lane setup as well. Zeka doesn't exactly have the greatest of times in this.
Kind of glad it's not the AD cannon though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
If you had lethal tempo, then I'd be like, ugh.
And Zeus hasn't been one to go for that. It's more of a Kingin thing. Is the AD cannon. It's alright, Kellan not going to be finding too much joy there. Level 2's gained on both sides. A real jostling as that was happening. Diablo just realizing the sadness of playing into an Ashe as the heal is popped aggressively. HLE unable to really find an avenue in where he's continuing to fish. Oh wait, no, this was
from level 1.
The replay. Yeah.
This is so you know where the gold came from. This is thank you very much. So you can see the live evidence of the 3 gold.
Zeka just playing right on the edge and he picks up first blood. How did that even happen? Look at Vikla's face. It's like, what the heck?
Guys.
And I was thinking the same thing. I thought he was in turret range, but he wasn't.
Sometimes matchups are supposed to go a certain way, and they just go the other way. I mean, that should not be happening. I think that's credit to Zeka's proficiency on Silas.
Oh, wait.
Good start.
Do you know there is actually a positive thing that comes out of this?
Hit me.
So, like, that's not how that matchup is supposed to go. So maybe there's hope for top lane Diana.
Yeah.
Because that also didn't go very well.
Yeah.
Well, Vikla's back, does have teleport, and is going to be able to get the cannon.
Oh, but they both TP back, and Zeka got Dark Seal, Ruby Crystal, and Vikla got
a refillable
potion control ward. Oh boy. Yeah, this is why I wasn't feeling so optimistic about the Skarner. I don't think you can blame Skarner for what happened there, but
no. Well, now you might be able to thank Skarner for making your laner feel a little bit better.
The problem
Obviously,
is-
Zeka was never going to die.
Zeka just presses W and heals up a lot of the damage that was done.
Oh. I mean, I'm trying to find the positive.
Wait, no
maybe
way,
he just dies in a 1v2. Oh my god! He still gets the crash. Vikler has moved over here, and Zeka unable to get on top of the Skarner now. He's eaten through the potion. These autos not quite working. He lands the chain, has the Kingslayer, flashes over as the chain lash connects, and he dies. But that was way too close.
I swear, if they had lost that, if either of them had gone, if both of them had gone down,
I mean, the game would have been over.
the game, the season might have been over. I don't think you can recover
The
from that.
LCK may have imploded.
Oh, but they managed to hold. So we'll see this play coming out. I mean, just a level 3's hit. Everything connects, gets the auto weaves so well on top of like the auto weaves mid animation.
Yeah, man.
And then here he's just like, you know what? I'm feeling myself. And he nearly did it.
I mean, Raptor had to flash crash him
Yeah,
in order to make that play work.
Maybe the play would have been, he didn't have cooldowns, which is why I didn't go for it, but maybe flashing on a Raptor at the end could have been the play. And then flashing in the bush. That control ward also, by the way.
They had a ward over both sides, so they would have known which way he was going regardless.
Jesus.
Oh my god. And so even though he died, I know that he has put way too much fear into being K.
Yeah.
It's not Fear X, it's Fear O.
I just think it's one of these situations where when that happens like 30 minutes into the game and it's a level 17 Sylas, fair enough. But when it's a level 4-5 Sylas and he has a Ruby Crystal and an empty Dark Seal and he's doing that, it puts fear into you, puts fear into a man.
I'm frightened, and I'm not even in the game. We're just watching. All right, Zeka with the wave in a pretty good spot. Vikler understanding he's not allowed to walk up. And at least he has actually done that. Zeus, as is Kenny, going to be just throwing these autos around. I believe that's an Augury skin there as well. Very, very cute one. Very much like the 2020 Damwon Kennen skin. There's Delight clearing out some vision, and we've just got the casual bot lane to topside switch. Trying to play around these grubs potentially. As they have just spawned, Raptor is already over there. Gravity Field going to be coming on through as Zeka throws down his Chaos Storm that he stole away from Vikler.
Yeah, Zeka getting 6 first and playing priority.
Peanut not actually able to stop Raptor from going over the wall there. It's not a dash, it is just a drive.
The wall slam was on cooldown already, so the wall forced him away, and I think the big thing is how Zeka played it, hit level 6 first, ulted Vikler to force him back, force him low HP, and then able to move over and secure all 3 grubs. So pretty nice, and especially since they're not traded, I think HLE very happy with that.
Yeah. Monopoly on the grubs is scary when you've got side lanes like this. Mainly just looking at Zeka, to be honest, as Peanut going to be discovered by Kellen. But not too much else, just some weird noises. As another Gravity Well comes down, Keeper's Verdict not going to hit Kellen, but does get a heal out, so at least they get something. I mean, somehow that handshake landed.
That hit, Kellen, that's just Diablo dead. They just dive immediately after, so pretty nice that he was able to dodge a wave from that one.
All right, clear going in. Zeus with the answer immediately. As there's the flash in onto Vikler. Zeka gets on over. The Gravity Field not going to quite work, and even though Zeka hits the chain onto a minion, it doesn't matter because he closed the gap. And down goes the Victor one more time. Heal comes out from HLE as now Viper is just shooting these arrows into Diablo. The flash after him, and he's got the bailout. He's definitely getting this kill. And now Kellen might be going down as well. Raptor able to do a bit of a drive-by just to keep the Nico alive. But this is going a little bit too heftily in HLE's favor. As now, Clear looking for a bit of an angle. The Slicing Maelstrom just to buy some space. And the Grandmaster's not looking as mighty up against this cannon right now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he needed a real weapon if he was going to be able to take that one.
Oh, he probably should. He did bring his fishing rod, though. We know that.
Yeah, I mean, the extra 3 gold seemingly not making enough of a deal.
Oh my god. Okay, that's the other summoner spell that Kellen had.
Yeah.
That's on cooldown. Golly.
You know, we've seen some clusters go the more poke-focused build with like Halo Blades, with like Q-Max.
Yep.
I think in this matchup, it makes it a lot easier to trade in. Because you saw there when they were having that 2v2, Diablo was trying to kite backwards, but wasn't really able to auto-attack Viper. And I think it just, the trade patterns off, like typically Cluster wants extended trades, but you can't really do that against Ashe Renata. And with the Nico, like the burst is really where you're favored. So I think maybe that avenue would have been more favorable.
Yeah, the problem is it doesn't get better as you get to skirmishes and team fights, right? Because then you got Slicing Maelstrom, you also can't hop around in one of those.
Yeah.
You need more than one cleanse. And you might get like a Mikhail's.
I just think the points in Q go a long way. You know, it was a while ago they buffed that to make it a lot more viable.
Oh, right. Yeah, no. If he went the lethality build, I'd like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it doesn't really get much better with the on-hit variety.
Yeah.
As Vikla at least has Grasp, so he's going to have more and more health.
Oh, no.
Oh, Kellen maybe should give him the opportunity to pop Blossom. As now, yeah, HLE going to be able to fight around this dragon relatively effectively. They already have one part of the Feat of Strength as well, so this will get them to Feat of Strength point.
I feel like Zeka just won't even register. It's just like it's by instinct. The Nico comes on screen and he just grabs Yul. He's like, oh yeah. And then immediately you're like, yeah, do we want to fight? Perhaps not. Perhaps we don't want to fight into that.
It is just going to be the dragon secured by Peanut. Not too much else going to come out of it. Zeka not going to get stunned up by the gravity well. And in fact, just not too worried about anything at all. He's now got an Impale, because I believe he must have used the... Wait, does it just the picture change whenever like Nico transforms?
Yeah, so it's...
God, that is so annoying.
It's very fake.
Oh, goodness. Okay, well, there are multiple Skarnas running around, multiple Skarna ultimates available, but they're all Pop Blossoms, apparently. Apart from this one. This one's an Impale. Let's see whether Raptor can actually find an angle to use it.
Zeus does have ult and flash, so I wouldn't think it'd be too easy. Drops the control ward down, definitely senses something.
Yeah, he's playing super defensively, very respectful of the potential gank on this top side. Understandably so there as well.
You know, it wasn't that long ago that they made it so Kennen could do damage to minions with his ult.
Yeah.
I think it made it so he's a lot harder to dive, because you can just ult and nuke the wave immediately.
Ooh, Raptor trying to find an angle here, like ships in the night. Him and Peanut will move away from one another as the grubs spawn. Peanut throws down the control ward and has absolutely no idea that the Skarna was here. Arrow just going to throw him underneath the turret. The Impale comes through, but the hostile takeover is already there. Delight trying to keep himself alive, but it's not going to work out as Viper at least softening them up a whole lot with this volley. And I don't think Peanut can actually stick around here, able to at least get one of these as Zeka is towards the bottom side of the map, grabbing plates. And Delight goes down, but I think it was a noble sacrifice once again. Good down. And Kellen and Raptor will be able to grab the scraps here.
I mean, just a sneaky play from Raptor. You know, Peanut being on the top side, I think Viper and Delight felt very safe. In fairness to them, super fast reactions to try and prevent that play from happening, but unfortunately, the Skarna just too many tools in the kit.
Yep. And now 20 CS is the advantage for Zeka. He also got himself a bunch of money. Is now clear his face check, and I don't know about this one. Zeka is already way too strong. Teleports come in from Zeus, and he wants to really kill him. Chain Lash comes on down as Pop Blossom going to get pulled back and still does manage to get a knock-up, but it's not exactly the play we wanted to see. Viper does have the bailout, and BNK just kind of flubbed that one, you could say.
Yeah, oh no.
Oh dear. Clear is dead, ladies and gentlemen, and there is no way for him to get out. That's going to spell the end of the turret. That's going to be some feats of strength going on over the HLE. Some upgraded shoes are going to be the least of BNK's worries, though, because Diablo is just going to get thrown into the wall and murdered.
Yeah, uses a cleanse as well.
Oh dear.
It feels like this game is quickly spiraling out of control. HLE just getting more and more advantages, and you know, I never really saw an avenue for this Callisto to play the game, but especially not now.
Yeah. It's not, yeah. And I think that things were getting more and more difficult after the first blood went over to Zeka in a solo kill into the Victor. But it's not even just that that's the problem. It's the fact that this Kennen has also had a great time in lane. He's 1,000 gold ahead. And Viper and Delight are on champions that are in a really good matchup in the 2v2, and we haven't really seen very much of that, right? They are kind of just there for utility oftentimes, and it's just don't die and, you know, be a part of the team later on in the game. This is a time where they can really thrive, and they have shown that they definitely still can.
And I think now you're at a point where, you know, BNK FearX's composition is relatively short range. They have decent engage tools, but you're into Poppy, Renata, Kennen, and even a Silas with the all options you can steal. I think it's going to become even more painful from here on out when you're trying to set up or contest objectives.
Yep.
And there's so many tools that just make your life hell trying to find and engage.
And it's a Skarna draft as well, right? So you are going to be lacking damage a little bit if the 80 carry is entirely neutered. And that is precisely what has happened here. A lot on Clear's shoulders, I guess, to try and get something done, but there's a lot on everyone's shoulders. And speaking of which, okay, Arrow is going to at least mitigate the pullback And Delight is absolutely fine, as it turns out.
Yeah, I mean, that was flash from Raptor as well, so great ult from Viper, although he does lose his own flash. But the fact that no one goes down, I think HLE happy with that one.
Oh my goodness, this tower is going to go down. That's going to move into a 6,000 gold lead at 14 minutes. The plates are just falling, and that one goes down a second before they fall off. And Raptor not actually even capable of getting on in there as the chain lash. Every time Zeka is abducting and absconding, I get a little bit nervous because every time he's aiming those chains at a bad guy.
Yeah. Well, Dragon up in 10 seconds, and I think it's so hard to see an out being KPRX, an avenue to get back to this game. But I guess you have to just play around picks. You know, you burn Viper's flash.
Oh, that's a flash in from Clear. He's going for it, but he will get stunned up again. The dash cannon is done. Azeus, oh, he was thinking about it. The flash! And he just kills him with a W. Oh, you do not challenge the God of Thunder on his champion of choice. Now this could be a pick-off onto Delight, but he actually finds the handshake. The immediate response is just gorgeous. Azeus doesn't really offer too much help. He gets the bailout, and let's see whether it's actually going to work out here as Peanut goes in, but it's not going to be enough. Kellen likely to go down, and he does. Still a good trade, though, as Diablo still hopping towards the Poppy. Two on the floor on both sides. Zeka now moving on up, and if you trade evenly, you trade up if you're losing. Oh, never mind. You don't trade evenly. There's the Fate's Call. That's going to pull back Peanut. As we know, it is often the junglers. And Diablo might actually get something done here. Okay, we're flashing, and Peanut is just dead.
I am just so disappointed, not with Peanut at the end, but that the Fate's Call is on Peanut.
Right. I mean, it did help them in that instance because Zeus was very dead.
Yeah, you know, it helped in that specific instance, but
oh, he was on a ward. Okay, Zeka does have the Kingslayer. There is the flash, going to be used to get out of the Impale.
I think there was a way you could have angled it where, I mean, I guess it's so slow, you would have been able to flash it anyway, but I think you could have angled it to be more towards where he might flash.
Oh, look at that, Clear just wanted to fish. He's now going to find yet another counter-strike, but it's stun for stun here in this matchup, and Zeus is looking pretty comfy. Oh, Kellen, though.
I think Zeus is dead now.
Okay,
now
there it is. Tanglebubs is going to hold him in place. He does have his ulti. Arrow is sailing down as well, and it's going to crash directly into Clear. He gets himself the counter-strike, but unfortunately, it's still going to be the end of the Jax. And Zeus, he's just back to farming.
That was a pretty good counter-strike from HLE. A little bait play coming out, and Kellen trying to find an angle, but unfortunately unsuccessful, and then Clear is having a disaster.
Yeah.
Diablo and Kellen had that nice play on the top side, but I just think things are starting to slip away from them more and more.
A little bit of spiraling perhaps happening, but there is a lot of craziness happening on this map as well. It's not a perfect game, you know, we're not having that conversation. B&K still able to grab 5 kills so far. Some fast and loose League of Legends, and no better Dragon Soul to augment it than the Hex Tech. And we've got a Ruinous Artican as well, so this is going to be some fun. As Delight moving up towards his top side, his Renata has been absolutely fantastic. I'm just so used to saying Delight and Rakan in the same sentence that I slipped there momentarily. But this is a lot of hands checking each other.
Yeah, yeah. It's just HLE. I feel like this is how a lot of their games go.
Yep. The Space mentioned it. They play to their opposition.
But even B&K FavorX, right? Diablo and Kellen have found so many 2v2 kills. It's no surprise that they were looking for more. And that play did end up working out pretty well. But it's still a sore position for the game to be in, especially, I feel like, I mean, maybe Jax is due a reset, but when I look at the top laner having just one item, just a Triforce, and then Zeus is approaching his second.
Yeah, Shadow Flame
little bit
almost
concerning.
done.
Yeah.
Level advantage there as well. And honestly, as far as like 0-3 top lanes are concerned, Clear has actually found some decent angles, and then unfortunately has just gotten outplayed in almost every single one of them. That Ash Arrow being a real clincher as far as that is concerned. And yeah, buffs being stolen away left, right, and center. HLE with those 3 turrets that they have already taken, making the map feel very, very small here for B&K, as they haven't been able to get these waves shoved out at all. And even Raptor's jungle is being taken away by his own top laner, who's not allowed to lane against this cannon
Shameful moves by Clear.
Yeah, no, it's desperate times. And HLE have been on about a 5,000 gold lead for the majority of this game. Is what it kind of feels like.
Yeah.
Like from that first blood, it's like 5,000 gold lead. It wasn't exactly that, but it's what it's kind of felt like.
You know, if you round up to 5,000, there was a 5,000 gold lead.
Gold leads are also relative, sorry.
Yeah.
To, the amount of gold that everyone just has in general. As my God, Zeus has been doing a lot of damage. Do you reckon this guy's pretty good at Kennen?
I would say so. But also, you play Kennen into a melee champion, you are just going to get a lot of damage down.
True.
But yeah, he's definitely been doing work.
So there's that, and then there's also the he's Zeus thing.
Also, wait, so Zeka is on 9 stacks of Rod of Ages.
And on Silas.
But he's already a level up.
My God. Okay, so then he's going to be 2 levels up, and he's going to hit level 16 relatively soon, I guess.
Yeah, and
take a bit of time.
Cool if you could steal the level 16 Calista ult, which has a longer knockup, by the way. It actually, the knockup duration goes up.
I didn't know that. I thought it's mainly just cooldown.
No, the knockup duration goes up, and then you can use it on your... Oh, wait, you didn't put it on Kennen.
Wait, you
put it on Poppy.
Can't you redo it, though?
No.
You can't just go and get the little thing back and then kill him again?
No.
I thought you could do that.
No, once you've committed it, you can't uncommit it. Otherwise, every game, like, you'd have it on your support, and then you'd be like, you know what? I want it, like, you could switch it. If you were like Calista Renata this game, you could switch it from Renata to Kennen. That'd be kind of OP.
That would actually be super sick. I don't know why I always thought that you could switch them over. There you go.
Yeah, now if you look at Zeka, level 15, and Vikla, 13. And it is a full 2 levels. Not like, you know, when it's gimmicky and it's like, oh, it's actually a level and like a 10th, but it's just because one of them is 13 and nearly 14. No, it's 2 full levels.
Can they kill him? That's the question. Pop Blossom is going to at least knock him up. There's the Impale connecting as well. He does manage to get the ulti off, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough to keep him alive. It will be in trade for this Ruinous Archon on the top side of the map, and the Rift Herald is going to be employed just to take this inner turret on the bottom side. That is a lot of extra money going over to BNK FearX.
I mean, I think it's the right play. I think you have to do something. You're not going to fight them at Archon, but this does not feel nice to give over the Ruinous Archon. When you're already down in experience...
Oh, we're driving. We're driving.
A little bit.
Oh, and he gets another charge. There we go. And that turret's going to go down. So that's 3 turrets. Okay. Getting some money back.
And Peanut's just killing all the flowers.
Yeah, I mean, ignore this. The pedal advantage is going to be absurd.
Yeah, and a good amount of XP. Zeka is almost level 16. But still, all things considered, that was a great play from BNK FearX. You win fighting them at the Archon. You needed something. That was a massive influx of gold, especially with the objective bounties. So I think ultimately you make the play you can, and that is a play they can and did make.
Yes, they did. They now do have the reality of being 2 levels behind in every lane except AD carry.
Well, Nico can pretend to be someone else who's higher level.
There we go.
If
okay.
Nico pretends to be Zeka,
that's going to balance it out. Zeka is going to show how strong he is at level 15 by fighting Raptor momentarily, but he gets smashed into the wall. Fate's Call comes out here from Diablo just to keep him CC'd, and Zeka does go golden. Those sticks are getting dangerous as he does find himself an Impale, and he's got the bailout there as well. It will get procced as now Diablo's in trouble. He's taking so much damage, but he will actually keep himself alive. And now Vikla having to deal with Viper, throws down the gravity field, as now Clear will get the flash out from Viper, and BNK, they find the angle.
Diablo's just clean with it, kiting like an absolute beast. I was like, yeah, maybe the lethality Calista would have worked better. I take back what I said. He was so clean in that fight. Typically a situation would expect them to struggle, and suddenly that gold lead, 1,000 the difference. And Peanut, once again, is just off doing his thing. Zeka opted into this.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't have the members or the tools available to deal with this Calista, who kites away from the ult from the Monada, manages to dodge the Impale from Zeka, dashes to him, gets the Rend, and then able to kite out of the Kennen ult, finishes him off. And then here, I think Claire does a fantastic job here. The best 0-3 Jax I've ever seen.
Right?
Gets the stun at the end to secure it.
Finishes him off. Really beautifully played here by BNK FearX. And it just shows you're never out of it until you're out of it. You know, you really do need that Nexus to explode to really determine the end of a game. As we're fighting once again, Pop Blossom entirely whiffed there by Kellen. as the rest of HLE trying to get over here, but Peanut is just dead. He says, guys, I was here this time. And as it turned out, it didn't matter because Zeka wasn't, neither was Viper.
Okay, so BFX got a good amount of XP from those kills. They've actually closed the gap in a lot of areas. But more importantly, they got an absurd amount of gold from those kills and towers.
Yeah.
And they are now even in gold.
Yeah, so...
See that gold grab. One conditional thing is, though, HLE have Ruinous and then one Dragon from Soul.
Oh.
So...
Ow. All right, Viper not going to be able to sidestep that one as Raptor pulls him in, and Diablo just dancing towards him. That's a dead Viper once again. So now a gold lead for BNK FureX. And what am I watching?
Some great League of Legends from one team, and HLE really dropping the ball.
My goodness. Okay, well now, this isn't in the script. What we do at this point in time is we're going to have a look at this and how it all started as Peanut was just kind of driven back by Raptor.
Yeah, and the ult ends up hitting the Victor, but it just doesn't really matter. Even tries to get the slam onto Kellen there and gets interrupted. And then here, Raptor just 2 times in a row set up these great plays. And the slow that comes out from the boulder as well ensures that Diablo can catch up.
Yeah, the Jax had the inside track there as well, so Viper was definitely dead no matter what. At least he holds on to his barrier. As now HLE, probably aware of the fact that they are now behind. 4 turrets to 3. It's actually an advantage here for BNK FureX. The kills are still an advantage of them as well. And it's the fact that it's this Ruinous Archon, the Soul Point available as well for HLE. I mean, there are a lot of things that do put them still in the lead, but this is so winnable.
I mean, it all comes down to that Dragon. If HLE secured, it's such a boon that unless the game immediately ends because they lose the fight, they're just going to probably win off the back of that. So I love that BNK FureX are playing around the Baron and trying to set that up as the main objective.
And 3 items now done. Terminus in, as well as a Giant's Belt from Diablo. This guy is absolutely huge. Viper is still trying to put together another item. We're going to have a look at it here. And yeah, he's got a couple of attack speed things, some Unitiles and some Phantom Dancer, but otherwise, Viper is not having a great showing, or at least not feeling so good about exactly this point in the game. The early game was actually great. A lot of these arrows, brilliant, all that sort of stuff. But Diablo, he's 8-2.
It's the fact that Viper finished his second item just after Diablo had just the Blade Rune King. And now it's a whole item lead in the other direction.
Yeah, it's nuts. The amount of money that he made off those kills is ridiculous. As Raptor looking for more once again, he will pick up the Poppy and deliver Peanut to his team. He is pretty tanky, able to heroically charge his way out, but does have to invest the flash in order to do so. Okay, Zeka still has a lead, so does Zeus. Outside of that, BNK FureX are once again just... they're feeling fine.
I think I have two win cons for HLE. You got a Dragon.
Got it.
You kill Diablo. If you want to win the fight, you kill Diablo. If you want to try and win the game, you get the Dragon. But it's going to be difficult to approach, especially with no flash on Peanut. They are starting to make moves. That's one thing, though. BNK FureX, they've equalized in terms of gold, overtaken even. But the objective focus is still going to be around this next Dragon. Right now, TP coming in. This is a huge point from Kennen. Zesh, level 16, just picked up a Void Staff. He is very strong.
Oh my goodness, this flank angle as well is so scary. Clear will be able to spot him out, but Zeus also spots out. What the heck was that? Okay, Zeus is terrifying. We knew that already. Let's see whether BNK can actually find a team fight that they can win. As there is the ulti that is going to get rid of the Kalista. She's not in the fight. Down goes Kellen. It is the Dragon secured by BNK. Viper is free hitting though. And now Vikla gets closed in on by Zeka. The flash over the wall, but the Q connects from Zeus, sorry. He grabs a double as he'd already dealt with Clear in the 1v1. And HLE, I think they've stopped with the funny business. It's time for Baron, and maybe they want to actually win this game.
Yeah, Peanut ult there was huge. Doesn't manage to get the smite in the end. But the thing is, you're the ones who are one away from Soul. Yes, getting Hextech Soul would have been massive, but at the end of the day, you win the fight as a result of this ultimate. So we obviously saw Zeus chunking out Clear on the bot side, but Peanut dodges away from the CC. And then this ult targeting here. Kellen flies in. Diablo doesn't expect to get launched away. And then even though the smite misses, without your Kalista, what are you?
Yeah. And the Pop Blossom did a fair bit of work. The hostile takeover did absolutely nothing, but it honestly did not matter. It was all about the numbers advantage that HLE were able to create for themselves, and it just shows that as long as you get a good keeper's verdict in a fight, a Poppy composition will probably just win.
Yep.
It's not very fair. Delight able to finish off that crab as the Baron is now circulating around HLE. And they've moved into a gold lead once again. 1800 going to be that Rebel Baron power play.
50 petals to 17, so that's a good amount of extra stats as well.
Yeah.
For HLE. And I think ultimately you want to use this Baron to get the game into a position where the next dragon is yours in the bag. Right now, so we've got to be a little bit cautious, but they're pushing on the top side. All those outer towers are still up and available and represent a good amount of gold, but also just space on the map. If you can kind of put BK Fearax into a position where they're cautious to leave their base, it can be devastating, but what's good? They're not even in position to defend.
Oh, Arrow is actually going to stop the back. And so now, Raptor is forced to stick around, or at least I think that was Raptor. It's kind of hard when there's a Nico on the map. As Kellen, he was actually there. He's looking for a flank angle as Raptor is now just going to waddle his way over.
Oh, TP's coming in.
Yeah. Can Kellen get this Pop Blossom to work out? He doesn't have flash. It's going to be hard. As now Raptor gets closed in on. There is just impales happening all over the place. A decent Pop Blossom does come on through as Diablo fighting against Zeus. Zeus goes gold and McClear gets into position. There's the Mikhails onto the cannon. And now Diablo nowhere near. And Clear does not have the counter-strike, so it's a double kill to go over to Viper. And I think HLE have decided to stop with the weird play and decided to just win.
Seems like that's the way. There's a lot of wave clear from Vikla, though. And Diablo being there as well is still a threat. We'll see what they can do, but this is a tall task, 2v5.
Yep, the Pierce is actually going to stop that one as Heroic Charge doesn't land. As far as the stun is concerned, another Fate's Call to come on through here as, Zeko's trying to read the flash. Vikla is likely just dead as Viper's flash forward, and he picks up the kill onto Diablo. Kellen respawns, the Nexus turrets are going down, and HLE, oh man, it got a little bit weird in the middle there, but ultimately are able to get the 2-0 over BK Fearax and will end this round robin after a bit of time. We are just waiting. The minions have all been taken down. I was on a big old spiel. Finally, the Nexus does go down and HLE will finish off on 8-1 to end the round robin, only losing to Genji.
Yeah, I mean, a really solid record you can only be proud of in this situation. Ultimately, HLE, I think, very clear statement as our second strongest team. The big question is, when they go to the next round robin, will they be able to take down Genji, or will anyone else be able to take down them? But even though it gets a bit messy, gets a bit goofy at times, it's kind of what we expect from them.
Yep.
They do pull together when they need to.
Yeah, and they did have an extraordinary lead at the very beginning of the game, and a lot of tools later on as well. This is not like a composition where you flatten the early game and then you run out of tools. It is still very, very strong. And Vikla, even though he fell behind, did do a lot of damage on the Victor in the end. And Victor is a late game scaling type champion, but with Kalista, it was always going to be a very difficult time. And Peanuts Poppy just tends to take wins when you can find them. Zeka fans here in the audience feeling pretty good as we got, we got a game out of this. We felt like this was going to be just a stomp from that early first blood that Zeka was able to pick up in the 1v1. And instead, BNK actually finding their way back in, getting those triple turrets into some great fights, just shows that no team is ever down and out, and especially not a team like the Sandstorm or, of course, the Bros.
I think BNK Fearax, this felt like a return to form. Despite it being a 2-0, if you look at the score alone,
yeah,
you'll think, oh, no surprises here. But BNK Fearax last week, the performances weren't really inspiring. They put up a fight in both games against the clear second-best team in the league. I think they should be proud of that performance. Yes, there were mistakes, and we're about to see one right in front of us on the screen. Yes, there's going to be regrets that BNK Fearax has, but overall, I think the level of play they displayed was pretty solid, and there was a lot of moments where they really shined, and I think Diablo and this Calista, who had a very unfortunate start to the game, managed to bounce back massively, and reminding us again why he's so hyped right now. Yeah, Peanut.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. But yeah, no, the hands on this young man are very, very impressive. I think Raptor also, towards the later stages of this game, actually had some really good angles with his impales.
I think also it's really easy when you're ahead in a game to close it out. It's very hard when you're behind in a game and it feels desperate to find windows back in. And I think Raptor really did a fantastic job. The team as a whole, like if you think about the gold swing that happened in this game, it was massive. And I think if BNK VRX were, you know, maybe like 10% better, we would have seen this go to a game 3. And I just think that's testament to them not giving up and fighting back and finding these avenues and punishing HLE and not believing, hey, it's HLE, we're really far behind, we can't do anything. They dug deep, and unfortunately it wasn't quite enough, but I think they definitely should be credited for that.
Yeah, and I also think that this really says a lot for how good the team environment is for BNK VRX, because you need to have a real good bros mentality, you know, like a family mentality to try and big up each other, make sure that you don't get tilted, and still play your best League of Legends, because it was looking so doomed at the early stages of this game, and BNK just did not allow that one to affect them. And it certainly could have. So that's what turned it into a little bit more of a game than we were otherwise expecting.
Based on the ending, I imagine this is going to be a bit of a goofy mic check.
I would assume so.
Because from what I saw, they all said they were going to dive Skarner, and then only Delight walked into the fountain.
Okay, let's see.
So after they kill Kellen,
yep, so Kellen goes down, and then the Nexus turret goes down.
And they all line up. Was it Delight? I'm pretty sure it was Delight. Viper stop.
Yep.
사이드 몸해줘. 들어갈게. 하나, 둘,
Got him!
Got him! Doesn't actually get killed, and oh man, that damage graph in the top lane really does not paint a clear picture. It paints a Zeus.
I just think, like, from the perspective of other top laners, Zeus is obnoxious. Because, you know, blue side's a favored side. You want to be on blue side if you have the choice. But Zeus on red side is just a thorn in your side. Like the Nidalee drew a ban. Yep. You still have to deal with this range top, and it's just, it's unfun. It's unfun to play against, and not too much of a surprise. I think there was a lot of good candidates for POM. I'm hoping it's a split vote. I did go for Zeus. I think the game 1 Gwen was massive. I think the Kennen, there was a lot of, I think game 2, there was a lot of people who had good moments, but I think game 1 was really what solidified him on top of a solid game 2.
I would agree. I think the only other one in consideration for me would probably be Zeka, finding that solo kill in the mid-game in game number 2, and also the Realm Warps being absolute game warpers.
That was true,
in the first game.
I think Delight also had a solid game, like Peter the Poppy, like that ult onto Diablo. Again, I don't think there's any votes I would feel bad about, but I think this was the right POM.
I would agree, and now it's time to hear from Zeus as well, so here is Dear for the interview translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation, joined by Zeus on the side of Hana Life Esports. Congratulations! Zeus, this is your 4th POM already. How are you feeling? First of all, I feel like it's so hard to get a POM overall, so I think I was really lucky today. And just being able to keep up our winning streak with a 2-0 makes me pretty happy. And in game 1, you played Gwen and marked the Kai'Sa so sharply, which paid off and led the team to victory. So what was the team's plan? You know, this isn't something that I really particularly thought about, but I think I just try to lock in and target whichever I can go into first. Of course, you're so good at Jace. Thank you very much. So, if the enemy didn't take Jace, would you have taken Jace instead? You know, I think for both ends, it was a pretty good matchup. It really depends on how you play it out, and I think it actually does make a big difference in the end, but I think I was pretty confident in both picks. You must have been pretty confident with both of the champion options. Yeah, I was pretty confident, I guess. And in game 2, Silas had an early solo kill and everything looked good until BFX played a pretty speedy catch-up. So did you feel like at any point that you might lose? So I think their side lane macros actually put us in a disadvantage, or I guess it looked pretty rough at one point. But the more you are in the behind, I think it's really more fun to try to play it out and try to win. So I think I was just trying to go ahead and, you know, do my best to win in the end. So both ends probably wanted to flip the game around. So what was the main plan for a turnaround today?
상대 조합에서 사실 칼리스타만
You know,
좀 잘
overall,
잡으면은 한타는 안 질 거라고 봐가지고.
you know, just looking at the whole big picture, I knew that as long as I'm able to kill the Callista, that we would be able to flip everything around and win. And at the very end of game 2, Peanuts, Poppy ulted the Callista away, which made the team fight so much better. So, how did your teammates react at this moment? You know, I was just playing with Jax at that moment. So at the end of the match, you know, they were just saying, "Oh, that Poppy ult was so good," and I was like, "Oh, I guess that's what it is." So it looks like everyone was just complimenting on Peanut's ult. Yes, that's exactly what happened. And since the opening match, you guys went on a 8-match winning streak, ending round 1 with an 8-1 score. So are you happy with the result, or was it at all underwhelming? Yeah, I mean, we ended at 2nd place, but you know, although that is a little regretful, I think our main goal is to make it to the MSI, so I think our eyes are set on MSI. And as we look forward to Hana's round 2, what mindset will you go in with? No, round 1, there's a lot that left to be desired. But we hope that we can keep up the momentum into round 2 for an even better result. And that's the end of the interview with Zeus, and back to the space. Thank you.